I swear, I've seen some wild things in this neighborhood, but nothing beats the sight of Karen Whitfield, our HOA president, sprinting across the cul-de-sac in heels, waving her clipboard like a shield while a swarm of angry bees chased her straight into her brand new Lexus. Now, before you think I'm some sort of villain laughing at her misery, well, maybe I was laughing a little, but you have to understand, this wasn't random. This was karma on wings. See, Karen wasn't just any neighbor. She was the self-appointed queen of order, the kind of woman who believed every mailbox should be exactly 3 feet tall and every lawn trimmed within an inch of its life. My little hobby, a couple of harmless beehives tucked neatly behind my shed, didn't exactly fit her idea of perfection. She called them dangerous, filed fake complaints, even tried to fine me for housing wild animals. And yet, on that sunny afternoon, it wasn't my bees causing trouble. It was her. How did the HOA queen end up running for her life from the very thing she tried to destroy? Well, that's where this story really begins. But let me start at the beginning. Before we dive in, let me know where you're listening from today. My name's Mike Hensley, and for the first time in my life, I thought I'd finally found peace. After 20 years working as a paramedic, nights filled with sirens, adrenaline, and people at their absolute worst, I wanted nothing more than quiet mornings, good coffee, and something to take care of that didn't scream or bleed. That something turned out to be bees. Yeah, actual bees. Not the kind that ruin picnics. Mine were polite, hardworking little ladies who just wanted to make honey and mind their own business. I built 2 hives at the edge of my yard, near the lilac bushes, and I swear the soft hum from those boxes became the soundtrack to my retirement. Maplewood Grove was supposed to be my calm chapter. My wife Anna called it Mike's retirement farm, even though the only livestock I owned came in swarms. Every morning I'd suit up in my goofy white bee suit, veil and all, and Anna would tease me from the kitchen window. "You look like you're about to walk on the moon." I'd just wave back, smoker in hand, feeling proud of the small, buzzing world I'd built. No drama, no emergencies. Just honey, peace, and maybe a little too much sun on my bald head. But peace, I learned, doesn't last long in neighborhoods with HOA presidents. The trouble started the day Karen Whitfield moved into the corner house. You could tell she was that kind of neighbor before. She even spoke, and you know the type. The SUV gleamed like a showroom model, her lawn furniture matched her doormat, and she wore a blazer to unpack boxes. Within 24 hours, she was pacing her driveway with a clipboard, jotting things down like a general planning an invasion. On her second day, she rang my doorbell. "Hi there," she said with a smile so tight it looked like it hurt. "Karen Whitfield. I'm the new HOA president." Now, we didn't even have an HOA president, not officially. Maplewood Grove's association was just a handful of neighbors who met twice a year to talk about lawn care and barbecue dates. But somehow Karen had decided to promote herself. I wiped my hands on my jeans. "Oh, right. Welcome to the neighborhood. I'm Mike." Her eyes darted past me to the yard. Yes, lovely home. Though I did notice something unusual. I followed her gaze and saw her frowning at my hives. "Those," she said, pointing like she'd spotted contraband. "Are those bees?" "Sure are," I said cheerfully. "Italian honeybees. Friendly bunch." Karen took a step back like I'd said rattlesnakes. "You can't possibly keep those here." "They're dangerous!" "What if someone gets stung?" "Well," I said slowly, "that's why we don't swat them or stick our noses in the hive. They pretty much keep to themselves." She huffed, scribbling something on her clipboard. "I'll have to check the HOA bylaws. We can't have hazardous wildlife in a family neighborhood." I nearly laughed. Hazardous wildlife? They're bees, not bears. Karen didn't respond. She just gave me a tight smile and walked away, muttering something about community safety. That was my first taste of the HOA queen's reign, and I had no idea how far she'd take it. For a few months, life went mostly back to normal. Karen kept her distance, though I caught her watching my yard more than once from behind her oversized sunglasses. Then, little things started happening. It began with a missing package, just a small box of bee supplements I'd ordered online. I figured porch pirates, no big deal. Then Anna's gardening gloves disappeared. Then a neighbor, Paul, mentioned that his Amazon deliveries were going missing too. One evening, while we chatted over the fence, Paul leaned in and said quietly, Mike, between you and me, I think it's Karen, I chuckled. Come on, Paul, she's strict, but she doesn't look like the package-stealing type. He raised an eyebrow. Last week I saw her carrying a brown box from my porch to her car. Said she was holding it for safety, never got it back. That caught my attention. Now, I'm a calm man by nature. Decades of emergency calls teach you to stay level. But something about that rubbed me wrong. My bees, my porch, my neighborhood, none of it was hers to control, so I decided to keep an eye out. I installed one of those cheap motion cameras above my garage, mostly to watch the driveway. Anna thought I was being paranoid. You really think Karen's stealing packages? She laughed. I don't think, I said, checking the camera angle. I'm just going to make sure. The next few days were quiet. Bees buzzed, coffee brewed, and Karen stayed out of sight. Until one afternoon, I got a notification on my phone. Motion detected. I opened the feed, and there she was. Karen Whitfield in her floral blouse and white capris, walking straight up to my porch. She looked around, picked up a package, my package, and strolled away like she was doing her morning yoga. My jaw dropped. Well, I muttered. Guess we caught ourselves a queen bee in the act. That night, I showed Anna the footage. She gasped so loud I thought she'd wake the bees. You're kidding me. She actually took it? Sure did, I said, rewinding the clip. Look, she doesn't even hesitate. Anna crossed her arms. You're going to the HOA meeting, aren't you? You bet I am. Now, HOA meetings at Maplewood Grove used to be 15 minutes of small talk and snack tables. But that night, the air felt charged. Karen sat at the head of the folding table like she was chairing the United Nations, clipboard ready. When it was my turn to speak, I stood up and said, I'd like to discuss a security issue. Specifically, stolen deliveries. Karen's face twitched. I wasn't aware of any thefts. I held up my phone. You might want to be. I hit play. The video projected clearly on the small screen, her walking up, picking up my box, walking off. The room went silent except for the faint hum of the overhead lights. Karen froze. That's completely out of context. Out of context? Paul piped up. Looks like context to me. A few neighbors chuckled. Someone even clapped. Karen's composure cracked. I was protecting the package, she insisted. I was going to bring it to you. Strange, I said, tilting my head. You must have forgotten, because it's still in your garage. A few gasps rippled through the room. That was the night the neighborhood started to see the HOA queen for who she really was. Of course, people like Karen don't take embarrassment well. The very next morning, a new notice appeared on my door. Official-looking letterhead. Fancy signature and all. Notice of HOA violation. Unauthorized maintenance of wildlife, beehives, within community limits. Failure to comply may result in fines. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my coffee. When I showed it to Anna, she rolled her eyes. She's unbelievable. She's desperate, I said, and about to get stung by her own rules. See, I'd done my homework months ago when she first complained about my bees. Turns out beekeeping was perfectly legal in our county, even encouraged. I had a small license framed in my workshop proving it, so I walked right over to her place. She opened the door halfway, still wearing her silk robe and that eternal frown. Morning, Karen, I said politely. Got your notice. Thought I'd save you the trouble. Here's my permit. I handed her the paper. She glanced at it, lips tightening. That doesn't override HOA regulations, she snapped. Oh, but it does, I said calmly. County law beats neighborhood guidelines. And unless you've got a badge and a warrant, my bees stay. She didn't respond. Just shut the door with a huff that rattled her wind chime. For a few weeks, she went quiet. Too quiet. Then came the day. It was a bright Saturday morning, one of those perfect spring days where the air hums with sunlight. I was checking on the hives when I saw Karen strutting across my lawn again, clipboard in hand. I've warned you, she said, voice sharp. Those insects are a hazard. I've arranged for pest control to remove them. I raised an eyebrow. You called an exterminator for my bees? Yes, you can thank me later. Before I could respond, one of the hives, the larger one, vibrated with a low, angry buzz. Karen stepped closer, waving her pen dramatically. And then it happened. One bee darted out, then another. Within seconds, a small cloud of golden wings lifted into the air. Karen shrieked, dropping her clipboard, and sprinted toward her SUV like it was the Ark of the Covenant. "Run, Karen!" Paul yelled from his porch, trying not to laugh. She dove into her car, slamming the door as the bees swirled harmlessly above her roof. No one was hurt, of course. They'd just been startled. But her expression through that windshield? Pure panic and poetic justice. The neighborhood erupted in laughter. Even Anna had to wipe away tears. Later that day, I got a text from the HOA board's group chat, short and sweet. "Karen has resigned as president effective immediately." I smiled, leaned back in my chair, and watched the bees drift lazily through the sunlight. Peace had returned to Maplewood Grove. Sometimes justice doesn't march in with sirens or lawsuits. Sometimes it buzzes